China is building towards an ecological civilization as they claim. And I would say the sort of single biggest obvious difference is that there is a clear good faith commitment to that principle of an ecological civilization. It's not just words, it's not just hot air. And that contrasts with the experience in the West, where by the posturing around green energy, the transition to a carbon-free, a carbon-neutral society is oftentimes used, has often been used as a geopolitical posturing mechanism, as opposed to something that, as opposed to a real good faith transition. So contrast, for example, China's approach with the EU, with EU nations and the United States, where the West clearly uses this as rhetoric that is secondary to the first policy principle of maintaining Western hegemony and capitalism above all else. If a green transition threatens those things, well, then it's okay to put the green transition second. And that example can be seen just about everywhere. Here in China, when we traveled through Guizhou, we saw miles and miles, kilometers and kilometers of wind farms, solar farms. When we travel on the train from Beijing to Shanghai, we see the same thing. Rooftop solar on little rural villages. Wind farms as far as the eye can see, and wind farms that even have colored tips, which I don't know if that's the purpose for them, but a simple colored tip on a windmill reduces bird deaths by 80%.
Wow.
And all these sorts of things, all these sorts of little principles, all these little things, that's just what's visible. The less visible stuff are, for example, things like AI data centers, right? The world generally is under the consensus that AI development is going to be crucial to 21st century economic development. But contrast again China's approach with the Western approach. The Western approach understood that the development of large language models was going to require building up data centers and building up all these expensive and, more importantly, carbon-intensive data centers and training sites. But the development of those things, they're happy to use the fossil fuels and pollute the environment and even hurt the neighborhoods by polluting the air that they're building these data centers in, directly hurting the people, not just the people, but the planet as well. In contrast, the development of China's new AI data centers, these are required to use 80% renewable energy in order to create them at all. And that sort of thing makes it clear to me why, over the years, the skies literally get bluer. It's not just a matter of just better cameras and better photo editing.
Yes, yeah.
What we're seeing is, in real time, less pollution over time, a greener economy over time, a greener society over time. And that is visible as far as the eye can see. There is not a single place that I've been to where it's not just immediately in your face.
Right, absolutely. I think that's a really important point about the AI data centers too. I think it's been a really big conversation in China about the contrast between Western AI data centers and Chinese data centers, right? Because there's such sophisticated scientific research here that actually ensures that these data centers don't cause more pollution or don't ruin, local communities, which I think they do very carelessly in the United States. But then I think, again, because of the hegemonic nature of the US, these things get all collided, right? And people, again, have misunderstandings because they see how it is in the West and they assume that it's like that everywhere else, which is why, going back to your book, Befriending China, like you say for yourself, China is a source of hope. And I think that's a really beautiful way to describe China because it offers all these different alternatives and solutions to the problems that the US has been not only facing, but perpetuating for decades, right?
Yeah, there's a little more I want to mention about
Please,
that.
yeah. No, please.
Well, thinking again about the Southwest, about Guizhou, one of the things that stood out dramatically for us was the bridges and the new highways. Those bridges are amazing. And the thing that is important to know is that the mountainous provinces' isolation was largely caused by the fact that people simply couldn't get around. Now, as we travel, we're going through tunnel after tunnel, drilled right straight through these mountains. We're being transported on among the highest bridges in the world. I gather that 50 of the world's highest bridges are now in Guizhou, and they were all built in the last decade and a half. And they really are so high that we were invited to go up in them. I was one of a small number of us who couldn't do it because I'm acrophobic. But I mean, literally, these bridges are high. And very long because they're spanning from mountain to mountain. What it has done is made that formerly isolated mountain province fully integrated into the national economy, and it's combined, of course, with the social modernization, which involves making it possible, for example, for children and young people to go to school half-hour walk from their house instead of a many-hour walk, having to walk with a week's worth of lunches on their backs in order to get to school and have to stay there for the whole week because it's too much to go back and forth. Little things like that, also making it possible for access to modern medical care with the ability for medical personnel to get to remote villages quickly, for ambulances to take people out quickly to state-of-the-art hospitals. All of this is part of what you might call the development of socialist infrastructure. And the nice thing is that, as you say, China is generating hope by delivering this same thing to its neighboring countries and to countries in Africa. And that matters a lot.
A lot.